Hey everyone, welcome to the ATYL live stream on a Thursday night. Good to see you all as you tune in. Of course, my name's Taylor Kitchen. You all know me, and you all know Ben as well. Ben, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, Thursday. How's the week been? Been okay? Been fine?
Week's been busy. I just ran 3 miles, so that's why I look like a tomato for everyone that tunes in tonight. But yeah, been a busy week. Been a good week. How about yourself?
It's been good. Obviously, if you all know, I worked Darlington this weekend, so that was a busy
Yeah.
weekend.
How was
Fun
it?
weekend.
Your first time?
Yeah, no, yeah, first time at the track. So that was really cool. Obviously, a very historic race and a historic track. So cool to be part of all of that. They scheduled us back to back more than I remember them scheduling us back to back at any other race prior. And I think it was just because, the playoffs. And of course, we're going to talk about our playoff predictions later. But with the playoffs approaching, those storylines and everything, it was like media availability from like 9:30 to like noon or like 12:30, and then we were writing articles up until the Xfinity race started, and then you're working, and it was a busy 2 days, but it was fun. It was a good
Mhm.
time. So,
Good. I'm glad to hear. That makes sense that it is a busier one, even though there's only 2 series that technically there. So
yeah, but the races were really good though. Yeah, I will say from my standpoint, and again, we'll talk about this a little later too, but one of my favorite Southern 500s I've seen in the past few years, in my opinion.
I have thoughts on, but we can get to that at a later point in
Oh,
the
yeah.
show.
I might have like bias though too because I was at the track, but I respect that. I respect that for myself. So
That's always fair. I mean, I feel like any I would rather have a horrible day at the track and still call that a good day as compared
yeah,
to like a bad day at work or a
yeah,
good day at work. And I'm at work right now. So
yeah. The Office. Also, the photos in the background. But those are from Mid Ohio.
yes, so those are let's see if I can do this. Those are from Mid Ohio. The two that are glared out, that one they're both from Salem 2023 when Jesse Love won the ARCA drivers title. And the
Nice.
two above that, one of them is Mid Ohio and the trucks, and the other one is one of my first photos I took on 35 millimeter film of a Cincinnati Cyclones game.
Oh, nice.
I have a couple prints that I need to get hung from Salem this year as well. So
Yeah. No, those are good photos. I need to have more
thank you.
photos. I told Rob, like, when I move into my new place, which this has been like over a month that I've been here, I'm going to add photos, and I've yet to do that.
It's okay.
So it's going to
Frames are
happen.
expensive, man.
I know they're so expensive, which sucks. But
I
oh,
do
yeah.
the
James.
James. Yeah, James was there.
Yeah. At track bias is so real. I feel that. Um, Ravaging Wolverine, good to see you in the chat again. John, hello. Adam,
John's here.
hello.
Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. I
Oh,
hope
yeah.
everyone's had a good week in the chat as well with how wild things are kind of the past.
It's been
What's yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, the 2-week break caused some chaos.
yeah. If
Yeah.
it hey, I'm all for chaos. One of my favorite podcasts is called What Chaos. So like I'm all
I
for
love that.
chaos.
Yeah, I think NASCAR Taco Bell Cup Series, hello. Yeah, I
Hello.
think when you have that 2-week break, teams are able to take that time to figure things out, reassess, regroup, and go forward. And with it being as close to the playoffs as it was, and even to the races, the tracks that we were at, that was pretty cool. So yeah, but of course, how the show is going to work today, we're going to have our Darlington recap, go through some pieces of news. NASCAR had their playoff media availability day yesterday, where some drivers made some comments and some things came to light that I feel like we should totally talk about. And then of course our Atlanta preview. Um, and yeah, and then we'll bring the rest of the ATYL crew. And at that point, where we're going to start the show, as you can see on your screen, we have a very special guest to start off the ATYL live stream. You might know him as the voice of the Cars Tour, one of the many wonderful voices of the Cars Tour, but also a voice of ARCA and many other motorsports series. He kind of just does it all. And I'm very impressed by it. I can never keep all this straight, but he does such a fantastic job. And his voice is basically just rising to the top now with recognition from like legends of the sport like Dale Jr. and so many others. So we're excited to talk to Eric Brennan a little bit about his career and everything he's doing, and we will bring him in. There you go.
Hey, Taylor. Hey, Ben. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, cool. It's funny. I was listening to you guys talk about like room design and whatnot. So the space that I'm in now was my first daughter's bedroom. Now that I've got a second daughter, we made this like a playroom, and then the bedroom's now shared in a room behind me. So I don't have my studio mic set up. I'm just completely doing this as like bare bones as possible. So I hope it sounds good.
Yeah, sound great, man.
I was gonna say it sounds good, and also congrats on the birth of your
Thank
second
you.
child. Has this week been stressful for you because of everything that's been going on?
So,
Or
to be honest, it hasn't. We've been really lucky. My wife, this birth was a little bit more challenging for my wife. But as far as like sleep and just the way she's eating and the way she's behaving, I mean, she's only 9 days old today. And my wife was kind enough to agree to this date to get together with you guys. So we're doing really, really well. I mean, compared to some of the stories that I've heard from friends of mine who have kids, around that age or the first 2 or 3 weeks that they're on this planet and they're just trying to figure out like how life works, quite literally. I think we've had it pretty easy. I don't know if I have wood in here, but I'll knock on it when I can. But it's actually been quite pleasant. And my oldest is 17 months, and she's already figured out it's her sister, and she's been very kind. She's been all she keeps doing is poking her and saying nose, nose, nose. So my heart's melted 1,000 times over the last week, and it's probably going to keep happening. But it's been incredible.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
congratulations.
Thank you both.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And I know, like, just through social media, you've posted photos of your oldest daughter, at the racetrack. So have they caught the racing bug a little bit and hoping your youngest also catches it too?
So I want them to love it, but I definitely don't want them to race. Not even from like a risk or danger thing, just from money.
Yeah.
I wanted to race when I was younger, and I grew up in and I mean I'm not afraid to say this. It was probably a middle to lower class household. My parents never owned a home. We rarely had a car to drive. We were using mass transit for most of my life. So, the realization that I can't even go-kart racing because that up front is a, minimum 5-figure expense. Thus the reason why I pivoted to want to cover the sport. So watching my daughters and knowing that they're going to be fully immersed in it, there's a little bit of fear they're going to want to drive. And if they do, I'll do whatever it takes to try to make it happen. May have to do a couple things I can't tell my wife, but whatever it takes to find the money, second mortgage on the home, whatever. That's between us. But in all seriousness, if that's something they want to do, I'm okay with it. The biggest thing that my oldest daughter, her name is Robbie, in memory of my wife's late grandfather, Robert. If it was a boy, it was going to be super easy. It was going to be Robert John after my father, just call her RJ. Then we found out it was a girl, and we sat on it for like 5 months, so we stuck with Robbie. But she was watching the Indy 500 last May, and I've always looked up to Alan Bestwick, and they pipe in the PA feed for driver introductions, which I love. And Bestwick's sitting there just rolling off rows, and they have like some EDM music playing in the background, and my daughter's just kind of sitting there bumping around to it. And Bestwick says something like, 2-time Indy 500 winner, Takuma Sato, and she just starts clapping on her own without being enticed. And I was bawling. I was absolutely sobbing at this because I'm like, she gets it. And she'll point at the TV and just say, car, car, car. So my oldest is in. So I think it's not going to take too much work to get my youngest to be a part of it too.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Sure. Oh my gosh. No, I love that. Trying to like kind of keep the tradition going in the family, making them racing fans. But I also get the not maybe wanting them to race for the monetary reason. It's tough. It's very expensive.
Yeah, I remember my father he's an electrician. He's 75 now, and he's had a bunch of health problems, but if he's healthy enough to go outside, he's doing work for people. And he met someone on Staten Island who was doing, they had a couple of kids who were racing in different go-kart ranks in New Jersey. The old Englishtown drag strip used to have like through the parking lot, like a purpose-built like go-kart track. And they would run like, club races there, almost like what Trackhouse does, on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, however they have it scheduled. Mm-hmm. So I got the invite to go. And I remember very vividly, this was the same day that Dale Earnhardt Sr. won his last race at Talladega in October of 2000. Because I remember walking back to where they were stationed and I heard the radio call of the end of the race. Because initially I was so mad that I was missing the race on TV. But they were selling a book there of like how to get started. And we brought it home and my dad and I sat there and we were going through it. And I mean, this is the year 2000. And I think the total without truck, without trailer for just like chassis, motor, parts, tools was like $8,000. And we both and I was, 10, so I didn't really know a lot. We both kind of looked at each other. My dad's like, yeah, this is going to be tough. So I have that like kind of stuck in my head for, if and when the day comes that one of my girls is like, Dad, I want to do that. I kind of got to figure a way out to get past that in order to, take the opposite end and say like, all right, well, how could we do it? Who do we know? What relationships could we tap into? But hopefully they want to work either in, journalism or media, which she's got plenty of good, people to learn from, including the handful that I got the, fortune of chatting with right now. Or, PR, marketing, anything on the back end, or they may go off and do something completely different. So, but I wouldn't rule out them wanting to work in the sport in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think something when I first got into the media side of things, and obviously still young in my career, Ben, as well. And the first thing that I felt was really tricky was trying to make those connections in the garage. And you kind of growing up in more of a racing scene, what was that like trying to build trust with the teams? How difficult is that? And to somebody kind of trying to get into the media side for the first time, how do you approach it?
I'll be honest. So I grew up in New York City. Staten Island is one of 5 boroughs that make up New York City. When you think New York City, you just think Manhattan. So skyscrapers and, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and then Staten Island, they call it a forgotten borough. Racing was not a big thing there. I got made fun of a lot in junior high school for loving racing. I would try to persuade my friends all I could, like, hey, come to my house. We'll order pizza. We'll watch the race. And some of them would come do it and hang out and have a good time. Others wanted to go off and do other things that high schoolers were doing at the time, So it was kind of a niche for me. And fortunately, Wall Stadium Speedway happened to be 45 minutes down the road from where I lived. Riverhead was probably about 2.5 miles east from Staten Island, New York. So Wall was my home track. In meeting people there, like going to your local short track and being able to see whatever fabrics attached to those who have gone on to, maybe some bigger or better things, those line of communication connections are huge. When I moved here, there were 2 people in particular that I knew from that area that helped me immensely. And one of them was Ryan Flores, who's a front tire changer on the 12 car. He gave me a 45-minute phone call one day while I was sitting in the parking lot of a TGI Fridays after having a farewell beer with a friend of mine. And he kind of just walked me through. He's like, hey, it's going to be tough. You're not going to know anybody for a while. But if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. And the other one was Freddie Kraft. Even though Freddie wasn't from Wall, I would see him at Turkey Derby every year, which was our big race.
Yeah.
And my co-announcer, Gary Larson, linked me up with him. The second week we moved down here, Freddie was kind enough, him and his wife, Megan, they said, hey, we're going to this place. Why don't you come meet some people? And those individual connections and friendships end up kind of spidering out like a crack in your windshield to so many more. And it sounds cliche that a lot of this stuff starts at your local short track or, wherever, and it may not even be like the closest place to your home, but maybe a place you frequent. It's every relationship you make along the way. Just as long as they're a good person, of course, it just blossoms. And that's what it's been like for me. Mm-hmm. And also not being afraid to just reach out to people, and I feel like that, I'm very fortunate that I've actually been able to reach out to, you, Ben, and you, Taylor, kind of individually in a sense of like, hey, thank you for the support and the kind words you said. And I feel like that just, even though I didn't really know either of you personally at the time, I feel like it's now established a level of trust and a line of communication. And, if you guys ever need anything, I'm here. And I know it's the same vice versa. And that's all it takes. And I try to live by that mantra and mentality in everything I do.
Yeah, that's a big thing. A lot of like the pay it forward kind of mentality, so to speak, of, they did something good for you and you'll pay it forward down the line to whoever it may be. I want to ask, so Staten Island, to Charlotte, North Carolina, what was that jump like? Because I've considered making the jump, and I'm from a similar area to Charlotte, North Carolina, but like Staten Island, like I assume you probably like grew up in an apartment building, like all that stuff. What was that like?
So it was different. Now I'm very fortunate. I had someone who took the leap with me. I met my now wife. True story. We'll just put it out there. Met my wife online. Was doing like the online dating thing forever, and Tinder was Tinder and all that stuff. And I was at a bar with a friend of mine one night, and he's like, "You should try Match." And he just like kind of took my phone and signed me up for it. I didn't realize it was going to charge me $47 for 1 month.
Ooh.
So once that hit, I was like, you know what? I'll talk to whoever I can. My now wife played a little bit of hard to get for a little while, and it would just reach out once a month. Hey, you want to get a drink? No. Okay, fine. No problem. Finally, she said yes one day, and we were together on our first date at this pizza place called Fornino in Brooklyn. And she said, if you could live anywhere other than New York City, where would it be? And I said, Charlotte. And it caught her interest. My reason was racing. she had a cousin who lived here at the time, and she had come down to visit her a couple times and loved it. And we dated for about 6 months and both decided, you know what, like I was in the union up there as an electrician, and I kind of felt like I had plateaued at the company I was with. She was a ED nurse in a hospital, and she kind of felt like the overnight shift was just getting old and the commute was getting old, and she was paying an astronomical amount of money for a shoebox of an apartment. And we just up and left. And I'll be honest, it was hard. You know, I'm very close to all my friends up in New York. My parents and I are really tight. Her family is massive, and they all lived on Long Island at the time. And it was tough. But, you know, once we got down here and kind of got established, and granted, we both took similar jobs. She got a job down at Atrium Health Maine as an ED nurse. I got a job doing security installs for a company. Granted, the pay rate was like 50% what we were making in New York, but the cost of living was a lot cheaper. So it kind of offset. But we didn't know anybody. You know, you're kind of trying to make friends at work. And you know, I was going to every racing event that I could at the time. I mean, I would be lying if I said that it was just so incredibly easy, you know, and Taylor, I'm sure that you're probably going through some similarities of this right now. And,
yes,
you know, you don't know where to go eat for dinner. You don't know where the safe spots are to hang out. You still don't know what's the good part of town or what's the bad part of town. You know, but once you get through that 6 to 12 month hurdle and you're kind of settled into a bit of a groove and a regimen, and to be honest, moving kind of helped me start some new habits. It helped me start to go walking more every day. And it helped me start to just kind of focus more on, you know, building a life as opposed to just going through the cycle that I've been in New York for so many years. So once you get past that, you know, 6 to 12 month of everything still feeling a little bit too new and maybe even a little bit, I don't want to say scary, but different, clearly different, and alone. Even if you have one or two people that you know, you don't have the core group that you did in your hometown. Yeah. You know, once you get past that, it pays off in massive dividends. And I would not have had any of the opportunities that I've had, and I wouldn't have the home that we're in. I wouldn't have the family that I have if I had just stayed up where I was. It wouldn't have been possible.
I mean, there's something to be said about taking the risk, and sometimes too, it is betting on yourself and your passion and what you feel you're capable of to move somewhere like Charlotte in the motorsports world to make it a living. And you know, since you've been here and have had all these opportunities, I'm curious, what is the opportunity when you got here that you felt was like the biggest break for you? What was something where you're like, okay, I made it. I'm doing what I was meant to do. I'm here. Like, what was that moment for you?
Am I allowed to have two?
100%.
Yes.
Okay.
Go for it.
So we moved down here in 2018. 2019, I was the assistant public address announcer at Bowman Gray Stadium, which was okay, but you're not really you're just covering ad reads pretty much. Like they didn't do play-by-play at the time. They probably still don't. Then COVID happened. And at the time, there was a gentleman that I had met when I was traveling with WK or World Karting Association events. They wanted to start a production company for the SCCA handles Formula 3 and Formula 4 in the United States. To be honest, it's not very well publicized. Like you could watch, you know, F2 and F3 if you have like an ESPN Plus subscription or something to see the international series. But every country has like their own derivative of it. So this person said, I've got someone who's going to fund us. We're going to run these like 6 races. And they were at like Mid-Ohio, Sebring, Homestead, Austin, Texas was supposed to be with F1. But the problem was the schedule kept getting pushed back because of all of the local rules and the jurisdiction requirements of the pandemic. Well, we finally got to Mid-Ohio in June to start this like 6-race slate that was going to go to the end of October. And because all of the stick and ball sports were still shut down essentially, or, you know, playing in a bubble, I got to work hands-on with so many like true broadcast professionals. Instead of us finding like freelancers who, you know, may have just been looking to make a buck or, you know, just, I don't want to say, you know, you're like your average, like low budget television, you know, camera operator. I was getting people who, you know, owned like $30,000 pieces of camera equipment that they were leasing this production to help put on. They didn't know lick about racing, but they knew so much about TV and what makes it all go. And I can't tell you how much I learned from that group. The races were fun. I got to work alongside Craig Minervini, who ironically also has Staten Island ties, but he lives in Florida. He does a lot of the Miami Marlins and Florida Panthers stuff for their local outlet. It was Valley Sports. I think that may have changed names recently. So, but that experience in that group was great. And the places we got to see, and luckily everyone was kind of comfortable with mingling with one another afterwards. So we got to like do a lot of shop talk and hang around, the cooler at the end of the races. And that really gave me a whole new perspective for how that side of the industry works. And the other would be the following year. We were hoping that we would get that deal back in 2021. And unfortunately, the series went with a different promoter. He had a different relationship with a different streaming company. Thus, the rug got pulled out from under us. But in 2021, evidently, Lenny Baticki, who's someone I've known for a while, his son Jake has actually watched our pets when we've gone on vacation before. He dropped my name to Chris Williams, who has a pretty big tie with a lot of the NASCAR merchandise industry from the early 2000s. Had a big relationship with Fanatics. He started up a Southern Modified tour and was looking for an announcer for it. And evidently Lenny dropped my name. And that was the first time that I was able to grab a series kind of by the horns and run with it. And know that I was going to tell this story the entire season. So getting to know drivers and team members and just kind of plucking like all of what I thought was the most compelling stories and having full autonomy as to how to deliver them. And I mean, Chris, I worked with Chris 2021, 2022. And when the Cars Tour call came, Chris gave me the option to do both. But because we were starting a family and because the Cars Tour slate was already about 17, 18 races, plus some other freelance opportunities that were coming up, I didn't want to put him in a position where his product would suffer. Even though I'm still very close to that whole group and we still talk. And I sat back and watched their doubleheader at the beach when I was home with the baby last Saturday. So I owe a lot to that whole group in 2020 and to Chris Williams for everything he's done for me.
Talk about then, so you kind of mentioned it, you got in 2021, you got the smarts. What did it mean? You mentioned kind of telling their story. What did it mean to be in that booth week in and week out? The consistency of it as compared to, I know you're kind of jumping in a little bit with the ARCA stuff now here and there when you can. But what does it mean to be able to tell those stories for that long from start to finish?
Yeah. And that, I think the ultimate goal for me professionally, long-term, it would be like to be a part of a series in any capacity for the entire year, because you get to see how the story ends. I know that that's not possible in all cases with the way that some of these network deals are covered, but there was a little bit of like, I was kind of starstruck, because we had, Tim Brown and Burt Myers. So of course they were known for what they've done at Bowman Gray, but the Madhouse documentary was something that I could watch while I was up in New York. They didn't have like streaming for races at Bowman Gray at the time, but I was able to learn who these people were, and James Savali, and all these other names that I knew. Like I knew who they were, but they had no idea who I was. Then to learn about them personally, I look at Carson Lofton, who's leading the points right now for the Smart Mod series, and he's won a bunch of races. Obviously, he's not just a second-generation racer. He's a third-generation racer. But I remember when he made his first start at Dominion, which is a super fast, high-bank short track in Northern Virginia. If I go to that racetrack, I'm closer to my parents' house in Staten Island than I am to Charlotte because it's just such a long haul. And that's probably the fastest track the tour goes. And he had a mechanical issue, didn't qualify, and had to start last. And when I walked up to Carson, I think he was just 16 at the time. And I said, well, how you feeling? Are you nervous? And he just smiled and was like, nope. This is a chance for me to learn more.
That sounds so like him.
Yeah. And that's been his mentality this whole time. And that's why I'm not shocked at all that he's doing as well as he is. And I really hope that he gets a look for greater opportunities beyond that. And to know that like I was there for that first time and that first start. And if I was in those shoes, I would not have been as composed as he was, especially if I was 16. And now to see like the rest of the flower flourish, it's kind of like a forever payoff. For as long as that kid races, is as long as I'm going to enjoy watching it because, of being there when the seeds got watered.
Yeah. You have to like kind of be at the start of someone's career and kind of start that story and then see it continue has to be really special. And with you also being part of some other series, Ben had mentioned covering some ARCA series and even to just the public recognition, I think you've gotten from that, like all online. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but like his voice is like really good and he tells great stories. And then even Dale Jr. commented or like quote tweeted somebody saying there, he's like, yeah, Eric's going places. He does a great job for the car store. Like, how's that been to see just kind of the public feedback of what you've done with your career?
A little overwhelming in the best way. I consider myself to be a very social person. I love talking to people. If I go to a ball game and the person next to me wants to strike up a conversation, or if I'm at an airport bar or on an airplane, if someone wants to talk, I'm up for talking. As if I haven't proven that on this podcast already. But when it comes to social media, I'm not good at it. I'm not good at putting out witty, creative, unique ideas in a condensed form. I'm very emotional. I talk a lot. I talk with my hands a lot. So I have never done a good job at putting myself out there across like a social landscape. And I probably still don't, to be honest. I use my social media a lot to just funnel, either what I'm doing or, just how my family is. But as far as, engaging with people on that platform, I just never really was good at it. So I think when everything kind of compiled together between the Cars Tour opportunity and working with Blake McCandless, who is absolutely he's 100% become like the little brother I never had. He actually was over at the house a couple days ago and got to meet Jamie. He's probably the first true non-family member who was not a direct neighbor who got to see the baby, because Blake, I just think the world of Blake, and I know that he's going to be he's already on a similar trajectory. I just dread the day that I'm going to lose him as far as someone to work with. But in terms of the response, and that's why I really tried to reach out to everyone individually that I could and thank them, because I mean that. I know that it takes time out of people's days to write something positively about someone or something, and to see that at the scale that it was, especially after Iowa. Whereas I feel, I got lucky that it was just a great race. I mean, I did Berlin as well afterwards, and then Springfield was pretty compelling as far as storylines. But Iowa was, Blake even said it was like lightning in a bottle. There was so much to be told about that race. So I appreciate all the support so much. It's kind of weird for me because it applies a little bit more pressure, because now I don't want to let anyone else down. I told my wife the other day, now that we have two girls, it's almost like I've doubled the fear of failure a little bit internally. And then on top of that, for anyone who is showing support on the outside, I don't want to let them down either. Even if I don't know them, if there is some sort of belief or enjoyment of the work that I get to do, I don't really want to miss out on the opportunity of anyone enjoying what they're watching or enjoying what they're listening to, because I'm not doing a good job. So I know that's a pretty deep and transparent explanation and answer, but it's a reality. But I do appreciate everything that everyone has had to say about everything that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of.
And you bring up a good point too, with like the pressure. Not only is it pressure on the athletes, but the people in the booth to almost be perfect. Is that the hardest part of the job for you, or is there some other facet of it that is pretty difficult? Because I think a lot of us from the outside looking in are just like, oh, like they do some maybe research, talk to a driver, grab a microphone and talk. But it's obviously not as easy as that.
I mean, it's trying to find the right way to word this. It is hard. And one thing I have to start getting better about is not going back and reading feedback. Because there will be, negative instances. I had somebody send me a screenshot after Springfield, because there were a ton of women racers in the field. And I'll be honest, I've been kind of programmed to, whenever we're talking about a female racer, to say female, because in the Cars Tour, we have, lady drivers who are under adult age. So the terminology is something that I would lean on just to cover all bases, because, we would have, 16, 17-year-old lady racers in the field. So I would just use the term female. And evidently few people on Reddit weren't happy about that, and they wanted me to use the word woman more. And they're right. I could have been a little bit more, I would say, open-minded in terms of sticking to more than just one form of terminology to highlight the star power of the people who are truly defying these odds when it comes to a male-dominated sport. Especially, having two little girls at home, I want them to see what they could possibly do one day, even if it breaks the bank for me. So trying to appease all is something that I think, if anyone says they don't feel that way, I think they're lying, because nobody ever wants to be disliked by anybody. But we also want to be comfortable in being in our own skin, and saying what we think and saying what we believe and doing things that we think are the best way. And not everyone's going to like that. So although a lot of the feedback has been really, really solid and really good, I have to do a better job of kind of toning out some of the other criticisms, because at the end of the day, what matters the most is, me being happy with the job I've done at the end of it, my family being happy, And then, of course, whoever's decision making in terms of opportunity, that matters a lot. And in terms of the work, I mean, it is time consuming to prepare at a point in which I'm comfortable to step in and call a race, to the point where my wife has told me to come to bed several times when I'm up building my spreadsheets. But I don't mind the work. It's gratifying at the end of it. It stinks when I have so many stories I don't get to in a race, and I've actually had to reach out to some drivers and apologize, like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't get to this talking point. Or I'm sorry I didn't, get to share this story that you lent me during the week. But the work side of it is cool. It's just, I guess, handling some of, the potential of criticism. And I'm fully aware that the further that this journey takes me, that's going to keep getting cranked up, notch by notch.
Mm-hmm. Definitely part of it as you grow your image, no matter who it is or whatever it is you're doing, whether it's broadcasting a race, a driver, or whatever. It's an unfortunate part of it for sure. I do want to ask, I know you probably got to put the kids to bed here in a minute. I'm very curious though, and you're still very early on in your career. What has been your favorite call that you've made?
From start to finish, it would have to be that Iowa ARCA race. It just the embodiment of the whole race. I felt like, and again, like I like using the analogy of telling a story, which, doesn't just have like one block. It's got a whole flow. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, watching season after season of a television series. And then when you get to the end, you're like, that's it. That's how this thing ended. And you're kind of let down. Whereas, we think back to what our favorite movies are or our favorite television series are. We enjoyed the whole thing. Yeah. And I kind of look at races like that. I want every element of it to have some element of, something enticing that keeps you there. Mm-hmm. So that Iowa broadcast was definitely it. However, I've got to say, the Cars Tour race at Langley, which had a 3-wide photo finish, which Blake was the one who called it to the checkers. And that's kind of the way in which Blake and I work. I'll kind of take over start and finish for pro late models. He'll take over start and finish for late model stocks. But I mean, that whole cadence of that race and Caraway, the last 30 laps at Caraway.
Oh yeah. Now
I'm thinking about it, the 30 lap block at Ace, where Ryan Millington and Brendan Queen swapped the lead a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. I'm having a hard time picking one. But the Cars Tour 2024 and that ARCA race at Iowa, those are the ones that I stick to the most. And I have to say, like, I went back and listened to Lee Diffie's call of the Daytona finish just over and over and over. And Blake and I were kind of sidebarring about this, where even his moment to stop and look over at Jeff Burton and say, your little boy has done it. That's a level of humility that I don't know that if I hadn't heard someone else do that, I don't know that I would ever have been able to do that.
Yeah.
And it just was perfect. Like it almost like every time I hear it, it just chills up the spine. Mm-hmm. And that was a big lesson for me. It's okay to be human in those moments, mm-hmm. And that's something that NASCAR has been doing for a while. If you go back to when Jarrett won the 593, Michael Waltrip in 01, there's an allowance in this sport for us, for anyone to be a human and not just a, quote unquote professional through and through by the book. And that was something that I took away from that. And if there's an opportunity down the road that I can incorporate that would most likely end up taking P1 in terms of a favorite call.
That's fair.
We have some fan questions relating to that a little bit, kind of just moments in the future. John Jensen asks, do you see yourself in the NASCAR booth one day? Is that a goal that you have?
Absolutely. And it's funny, like there's a lot of stuff going on, with the new TV contract and such. And I'm 34 years old. So from what I gather, that's kind of young for the space. A lot of the professionals who are in roles that I would like to have one day are a little bit older and a heck of a lot more seasoned than I am. But I would love for an opportunity to call, anything for any of the top 3 touring series or mm-hmm. really any nationally touring racing series, whether it be, IndyCar. I don't watch a lot of NHRA, but I'm up for it. But I mean, I think I would love to do a full truck season one year and just kind of have it for the whole season and watch that even blend of young talent trying to come up, plus the implanted veterans who are there. Yeah. That's something that I think I would have a lot of fun with, especially because it's got a lot of a hybrid between, some short track connections. And, I do miss the days when the truck series was the series. And I'm going off on a tangent here, but I do miss the day when it was a series that was the liaison between your short tracks and the national level. And, they would run 6 to 10 short track events in a given quadrant of the country. And you'd have, 5 or 6 local hometown heroes that would buy a truck chassis, put it together, and go try to make those races. So maybe one day it'll get back to that. But even as it is right now, I feel like there's enough to pull out of that series. It would be a lot of fun to call for a whole year.
Well, I would say I want to see you in the truck booth for a full season. I think that'd be awesome.
Can I piggyback off that?
Yeah.
Would you do pit reporting then? Like, if you got the opportunity to do like a pit road reporting, would you do that then as well, or would you want to kind of just mostly stay in the booth?
Oh, I would. There's not a lot that I would say no to in terms of working in the sport. And I'll preface, I do have a day job. I work for Duke Energy Corporation, which is like the main utility provider in the Carolinas, Florida, and some parts of the Midwest. I work in their security sector, overseeing how they fix and repair their physical security assets like security camera systems, card readers. So I have a pretty good day job. But if I was able to subsidize that income to work in racing, I would leave in a heartbeat. In the interim, I've been, doing the 6-7 day work weeks and the late night prep for races that I have going on. And I don't mind that so much when my girls are so young. But I mean, hopefully by the time they start going off to school and get involved in dance or swim or whatever else they want to do, maybe it'll only be one job and maybe it'll be the one that I really want to do. But we'll see. I mean, but as far as, pit road, booth, desk, you name it, I'm sure there'll be a learning curve to it because I haven't pit reported all that much. I've done it a few times, but if the opportunity presented itself, I would grab it in a heartbeat.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, we hope that opportunity does present itself. And not only do you have the support from your family, but I think the fans, I speak from all of us saying that we support you on your journey and we're so excited to see what the next few years bring for you. And of course, finishing out this year strong in the booth. But Eric, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I know you have the 2 little girls to look after now, so we'll let you get to it. But of course, appreciate your time.
Yeah, man.
Thank you both. I really appreciate you both. I appreciate the platform that you guys have built. Taylor, you have like a very warm and inviting platform for people to come in, especially new fans. There's a lot of clicks in racing sometimes, and it's not always as inviting for other people to come in. And I actually watched, your Connor Zilic interview from a few weeks back before one of my ARCA races. And it was just so laid back and composed. And I feel like there was a lot that came out of Connor as opposed to some of the other media availability he's done. So you're doing a great job. And Ben, you are as well, man. I love everything you do. I've read a lot of your articles to prepare for stuff too. So you guys are killing it. And again, if there's ever anything I could do for you or anyone, just please reach out.
We'll do, man. We appreciate you.
Thanks. And likewise.
Take care, guys.
Awesome. You too.
See you, man.
Bye.
Made me blush.
I know. I was like,
oh gosh, I feel honored.
I'm never good at taking compliments, so that meant a lot for sure. No, I love Eric's work, and I've been hearing him at the broadcast booth for like the past 2-ish years, and of course this year with doing more of the ARCA stuff. I was like, all right, I hope this guy gets like a full-time gig at like the national level because he deserves it. He's so engaging in the booth, and even too comments from you all were like, he needs to do this, like 100%. So again, appreciate Eric for his time. If you want to find him on social media, I linked his Twitter account or X account, whatever you want to call it, in the description below. Let's move on because I know you all are probably also dying to share your playoff predictions, and I promise you we're going to get there. Everyone had their brackets submitted, so we have the script. I will preface this by saying Rob's script is one of my favorites, and I'm going to share it for him. I don't think he's here tonight.
Also, really quickly, James, yes, this is a counterclock shirt. It's one of the shirts that I use for when I run. I just had to get that out of the way too.
I love that though. Sweet. All right. Well, let's bring in the rest of the crew, and we will start off by recapping Darlington. We'll kind of abridge the recap a little bit. Adam, Lucas, Dom, Joseph joining us. Hello, gentlemen. Hello.
Buonasera.
Well,
Word.
Well, love the hats too. We're all rocking hats today. I really appreciate that. Good job, guys.
That's what we do best.
Appreciate it. 100%.
Regular season champs right here, baby.
I was going to say, let's talk about that. Well, before we talk about that, let's explain some things real quick. So these are the point standings, how they look after the regular season for us. Adam is the winner of the regular season champion for the ATYL Crew. What a comeback. We've said it the past few weeks, but truly crazy. But because of people that did not pick due to, I mean, life is crazy. So there's some weeks that people missed. Hi, Dom.
That's me.
So
She's talking about me.
The elephant in the room.
Then they're still eligible to compete for a championship. However, as you can tell, there is quite a points deficit that they have to come back from. So we will see how this all works.
I'm calling it now. Brandon wins this title
For-
with the spleen, mind you.
yes. I predict this is Brandon's to lose. %.
We actually did the math, and it's like I would have to, well, that's another rule that if you do not get your pick in before a race, you are out for the entire year. You're done. It's over.
Yep.
So the only way Brandon can beat me or Taylor or even Ben is if we both if we DMP.
Mm-hmm.
I believe
so.
Miracles can happen.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, this is how it stands going into the playoffs. And then, of course, our driver's points, again, Tyler Reddick, regular season champ, that gives him extra playoff points going into the round of 16 and the rest of the playoffs. Of course, these are how things stack up as we go into that first round. But let's talk about Darlington very quickly. Chase Briscoe, not out of thin air, because he was very fast in qualifying and maintained that top 10 position, but he, yet again, a young driver battling out against Kyle Busch, it was able to win the Southern 500, advanced his team into the playoffs, and here's the field that we have for that. Like, how crazy was that? I don't know, from you guys watching at home, what was their reaction?
Yeah, why not at this point?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Let's just have full chaos mode at this point. Let's dump gasoline on the fire and see what happens. I think it's cool that he won in the SHR's final season in kind of what I would call their flagship car loosely, since the 14's been around longer than the 4.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a cool moment to see him take that team back to victory lane. It's probably their last ever win, arguably, unless something happens in the next few weeks. It was just it was a race. Like, it felt very chaotic at the very end, which I expected because I knew it was going to once we had those cautions, kind of breeding cautions. So, but GG Chase Briscoe, you did what you need to do. You threw the Hail Mary and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he had a very strong car. Final Boss mentioned this here. It was a rough week for me. I had Martin Truex Jr. as my pick, and I'm like, lap 1, lap 2.
Brother, you're telling me.
Ben, my gosh. Made a mistake, took out Ryan Blaney in the process.
Can God use another strong soldier? Because I'm really tired of this battle.
I know. Well, and then he's seated last in the playoff standings right now, which is kind of rough. But Dom, Adam, thoughts from Darlington, even to Xfinity, Sheldon Creed yet again. So close yet so far.
I learned something about Sheldon Creed, that he is racing for free this year, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Matt Tiff did a really good video on that too, on his Instagram,
100%.
TikTok, one of the two.
He did. I mean, yeah, Chase, they kind of like Harrison the week before, they did a Hail Mary and they got lucky. If you can win it, you can get into it. That's just the kind of the product of this type of playoff format where you get rewarded for getting a win, yet you don't have to run consistently to even be a threat all season long until it counts.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Dom has a lot of thoughts on that. I do too.
Oh, yeah.
We want to return to the good old days of the chase for the cup, but we know we can't.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm not at my apartment. I'm at my uncle's house, dog sitting. So we can all say hello to Buddy.
Buddy.
Hi, Buddy.
About to start talking. He walks
Can you
into the
be our
room and
friend?
cakes and everything. So that's what you heard in the background. But my thing would be, what do we mean by Hail Mary for Chase Briscoe? Is it just the final restart move that he made? Is that what we're calling the Hail Mary? Because he was good all night.
I'm calling that the Hail Mary.
The whole evening, the whole race was a Hail Mary for them. Yeah, they went with the best equipment, the best setup they could get, and they were rewarded with it.
Yeah,
it looks like they threw everything in the 14 car and it worked. So
literally,
credit to him. And I mean, he's also been pretty good at Darlington, to say the least, as well. I feel he likes that track a lot. It suits his driving style. I mean, anyone who comes up on dirt seems to really enjoy Darlington.
Mm-hmm.
which is why Kyle Larson dominated the whole show until
Yes.
the caution started coming out. But yeah, I mean, Briscoe or Kyle, one of those two. I mean, if you need a guy that's outside the points to win the race, those are two good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're picking out of the Stewart-Haas stable, I would have said either him or Barry. I feel like Gregson's kind of teetered off a little bit, and Ryan Preece hasn't really been competitive this year. But no, it was a good run, not a good run, a great run by that 14 team all weekend long. So outright victory, they deserved it.
Yep.
And I was telling Matt Deason this during the week. He did such an expert job of, once Kyle got to him, he just made it a habit of taking his air away and just making him drive in dirty air. And if you can do that, the race is over. And that's exactly what he did. He kissed the wall a couple times, which at Darlington you can get away with if it's just a little.
That's what you do.
Not even a bounce off, just a graze. I mean,
A little.
There's grip up there, so got to go get it.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm thrilled for Briscoe. He played the system and it worked out for him.
Yeah. Happy for him, his crew. Seeing the crew celebration like right there was also so exciting. You could tell how much it meant to him. And even this was the last race that Marissa, Briscoe's wife, was able to be at before she had to stop traveling. And so that was a big deal. Just the fact that the team is shutting down at the end of the season, this group needed the win. And I'll get to this in my playoff bracket, but the fact that you have an entire organization that is shutting down at the end of this season and an entire organization that has one driver in the playoffs, do not underestimate that.
It gives them something to fight for.
Because it's something to fight for, but now you have so many people that can back this one car, as opposed to like a Hendrick Motorsports where your drivers are all there. Everyone has their own mission, own goal. Everyone has one goal at Stewart-Haas Racing, and that is to get a championship in their last year, regardless of driver you're with. So
it's the same with Furniture Row from a few years ago.
100%. I will say that 14 car knows a thing or two about catching fire in the postseason.
And Briscoe's won at Phoenix.
Briscoe got his first career win at Phoenix.
If he makes it, look out, boys. And Taylor.
System.
Again, foreshadowing. Rob has a script, and I'm excited to share it with you all.
Oh boy.
Last thing I want to mention about Darlington here is the Xfinity Series race. John Jensen said it perfectly. I think Sheldon Creed is cursed. He's found every single way to lose in Xfinity and no ways to win. It was him and his Toyota teammate for that race, Christopher Bell, who were battling it out for the win. I think Christopher Bell ultimately did have the stronger car.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of, could we end up getting a long enough run for Sheldon Creed to just maintain a lead? And unfortunately, we had a late race caution. Didn't happen. And then we, of course, heard the comment of just kind of racing for free, which again, look at Matt Tiff's social media platform. He made a really good video talking about why that is, what that looks like contract wise. But, and then of course, Adam, your guy, SVG, I talked with him after the race too, a top 10 finish at Darlington.
Hell yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So
we're learning the oval slowly but surely. The result on Saturday was better than Sunday night. Sunday night was rough to say.
That was tough.
That was very tough. But I was happy and pleased to see that. Was able to dance with the lady in black and come out pretty unscathed.
100%. All right, Ben.
Sheldon Creed is some modern day Dallas Cowboys. That's good. I like that a lot.
No,
that's good.
No, that's incorrect.
Not quite.
You're looking at Allgaier or Denny Hamlin for that.
I was very
okay, all right.
But that's funny to me still.
I think that'd fall for the 11.
I thought Xfinity continues to be a great show at Darlington, no matter what happens.
It's good.
Lionel, make Brennan Poole's car diecast, or I will do illegal things, and I will not continue on saying.
You have a confession.
I don't want to go to jail.
Okay.
I don't have a confession. Gosh, no. Great race. Sheldon Creed, I think, is in purgatory forever and ever and ever, unfortunately. And I hate that for him because he seems like a nice enough guy.
He does.
I feel like he will now have a win in what it could be one of the goofiest ways ever at some point, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we have to go to Talladega still.
Yeah, still Talladega.
And
let's get goofy, baby.
And if it doesn't get a win this season, maybe next season at Haas Factory Team. You never know.
That's how he does it, is he wins the first ever race for Haas Factory Team on like some crazy fuel mileage strategy. Calling it now. Okay. So we need to write that down. 2025 predictions start right now. Screw it. We're in.
I was on TV. I made 3, I guess, unfortunate cameos on TV.
Not unfortunate.
Fortunate.
They were just like wrong place, right time, wrong place, wrong time. I don't know.
Awkwardness.
It was just
There you
awkward.
go.
It was
On
awkward.
Bills,
Thank
yeah.
you. I was like, what's the word?
Do not tell me to chill out.
But Ben is just very passionate about his predictions. Let's go to NASCAR news. A few pieces of news to talk about. First up, NASCAR Studios is launching 3 new shows for the playoffs. One aired tonight, so there's a NASCAR Inside the Playoffs on Thursdays on True TV and Max. Then we have NASCAR Daily hosted by Shannon Spake every weekday morning on YouTube. It's like a 10-minute show just talking about like breaking news. I kind of just relate it to like a more timely race hub, just shorter is like what my understanding of it's going to be, but bringing in maybe a crew chief to talk, whatever. So just really something that's bite-sized, that perfect 10-minute window on YouTube every weekday. And then Drop the Jack. It'll be on YouTube podcasting platforms talking about a race weekend from a pit crew's perspective, which I think is cool. So keep that in your mind if you're looking for more NASCAR content. Of course, NASCAR Studios just, starting to launch more media with their new facility in Concord, which is pretty cool. So be on the lookout for that. What else did I want? Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Brandon Jones. Should we just talk? Let's get this out of the way.
You don't burn bridges, kids.
Don't burn bridges. Perfect
Never
example.
say never.
Brandon Jones is going to return to Joe Gibbs Racing next year, signing a multi-year agreement. After racing for Junior Motorsports for the past 2 seasons. How do we feel about this?
You can burn all the bridges you want when you can afford to rebuild them. You can do whatever you want.
That's also fair, especially when you can afford to rebuild them with Menards Wood. Brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Please stand for the
demonetized for that or no? I don't know.
Probably.
That's fine.
You guys are making money? What do you mean?
This is how you know your branding works, when we automatically sing the jingle for your brand. That's strong. But yeah, Brandon Jones has obviously not had a good past 2 seasons, especially this year. It's sucked. Yeah.
Past 5 seasons?
Stat of the day. He has more DNFs than top 5s and 10s combined this year.
It's crazy to think about.
There you go.
And he just got a ride with Joe Gibbs Racing, the most successful team in the sport.
I kind of wish I was Brandon Jones, honestly.
Wait.
Yeah.
What?
He's still running full time yet.
Yeah, man. He's got that money. He got that dough.
That's fair.
If you got the dough and you can roll, man, I'd like to be in his shoes.
Now, like,
was his contract expiring this year with Junior Motorsports? I got real hick there. I apologize.
I don't know.
No, you're good. I had thought that he had signed something through.
If this is a deal of JRM higher ups step in and say, "Hey, brother, you're not doing good. You're out. You're out at the end of the year," then sure, I totally get that from a performance standpoint. But part of me feels like if Brandon Jones just said, "I'm done giving you my money because you're taking my money and funding these other things with it," as race teams can do, that'd be more interesting in some regard. Like I could totally see, in theory, again, this is totally in theory, so please no one on Twitter run with this because we've known it's been a bad week for that. I could totally see like they took money from what would have been Jones's car to fund other things, maybe like a Carson Quaffle race every now and then, or even a Connor Zillich race here coming up soon. Or even one of Junior's races, I don't know. And him being like, "Hey, like these cars are running good," so, which granted JRM's had a down year for the most part compared to years past. But I could totally see him being like, "I'm upsetty spaghetti and I'm out and I'm going back." So
it looks like it was a 1-year deal for Junior Motorsports. So it doesn't look like he was fully locked in 2025. From everything I'm seeing, that looks like that was the case. So I haven't seen anything that it was a multi-year thing that he signed. It was this year, and then whatever happens. But yeah. Speaking of that, for the millionth time, Alex Bowman confirmed to the media and then to the masses that he is staying with Hendrick Motorsports through 2026. Hendrick Motorsports execs have also confirmed this. So it's tricky, and I get it, because sometimes drivers will have contracts signed, multi-year extensions, and then a team will buy them out of their contract. I get it happens. But like, if the team and the driver have to repeatedly tell us this is my tangent today, I'm sorry, then like believe them until they say something else. And I know it's fun to have rumors and speculation and get those clicks. I understand that 100%. But like, that's dumb at this point that we're like, Alex Bowman's going somewhere else. I'm like, we've heard nothing of the sort from him. So like, let's calm it down. But yeah, that was another thing this week where it's like, okay, all right, guys, it's fine. We have a lot of fun comments about Brandon Jones.
Brandon Jones is mid.
Here's the thing too. So Ryan Truex should have that ride, but I understand Jones has the relationship and money. With Ryan Truex, what do we want his future to look like?
I want him to be the savior for the Truex family for me now, because God knows it's running away slowly for me. No, I think he's proven that he deserves a chance again somewhere. It's been a tough. If you think about it, he's had a very long. I don't want to use the term drought, but he's had a very long career of not running full time for a long time. Like he ran the Hattori truck full time, and then he ran. I may have those backwards, but he ran for Colleague and Hattori at one point in time full time, and he lost his ride, and he spent like 4 years bebopping around a couple different places, and then finally landed here at Gibbs. Like I want him to have I want him to have at least one full time season at one point in life, and win a title, and then go live out his dream on a boat with his brother or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been bouncing in and out of rides since 2012.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy to think. But I mean, again, that just goes to show like how important sponsorship money is in the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that one full-time year in the trucks in 2017, and then it's just like the cards are always stacked against him, because he gets that full-time ride in 2017, has a very respectable year in 2017, and then the guy that replaced him in 2018 won the championship.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, so what does that say about you as a driver? It's just like, good grief. Yeah, and then he ran for Colleague in the 11, and what was that, 2021 maybe?
2020, 2021, somewhere in there. I remember the Phantom Fireworks car.
I thought it was 2020.
Yeah.
My brain.
But
only for a few.
Yeah, and now he's got 2 Xfinity wins back to back at Dover, and then a third at Daytona. I actually just remembered that he won Daytona. But
and I remember like when it was nearing either the end of the truck season or the end of the Xfinity season. I think it was the end of the truck season with Hattori, where he was just like, yeah, I may just retire at this point because I don't have any plans at all, and I'm going to give up, and like was really down on himself there for a while. So it's cool to see this redemption arc come, and I really want to see him in a full-time ride somewhere that's good and can be competitive, and have him fight for a title wherever that is. Because
he shows, even when he races like maybe 3 races a season, that like if he has competitive equipment, he can win and will win. That should be somebody you want on your team. So anywho, that's the only news stuff I wanted to talk about today. I know there's some stuff about charter updates and whatever. I'm not going to get into that until maybe next week if there is a bigger update. Apparently NASCAR is wanting things to be done like this week or next week. So I'm just going to hold off because that's an ongoing whatever.
Yeah, I want my $1 million to be delivered to my front porch tonight. So
yeah.
Well, you only got $1 million? I got $5 million coming.
I try to be modest in my life.
You know, I respect that. Respect it. But we have more important matters to attend to than ongoing charter discussions, because my goodness, we have our playoff predictions to get through.
The Yoffs, baby.
The Yoffs.
Oh my God.
I love that, man. I love the Yoffs.
Oh my God. So
someone clip that, please.
Let's go through our brackets. I have them in alphabetical order.
Oh, I gotta be first.
No, Adam.
Oh, I don't know the alphabet. I don't know the internet.
I have to be first. Oh, darn.
You have to be.
You were going by last name. You're good, Ben. You're good. I'm on your side.
Adam, do you want to be first or no?
Honestly, I really don't care if I'm first, last, or whatnot. I hate who I pick for the championship. I know I can't pick who I want.
Do you want me to do Rob's first? Let me talk about Rob's first.
Yeah, do the man that's not here. I love you, Rob.
Let's do the chaos first.
I think this is the right one. Please tell me I clicked. Nope, that's me. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. No.
Okay. Ding dong. Ding dong.
This
Ding dong.
All right. I almost clicked the right one. So. Rob Branning's bracket. I hope, Rob, I do you justice on this one. He has Chase Briscoe as the champion because he says, quote, "This is how NASCAR wants it. They want chaos." Let me make sure I'm quoting him correctly. He goes.
Why do Cindric and Gibbs not have numbers in the round of 12?
That's a really good question. And
Briscoe's running the 54 in the round of 12. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This storyline.
What happened there?
Goes
I was
to
going to say,
Gibbs
am I
early
crazy?
and wins the title.
Ignore the number. Because when I published this, it was accurate. So
Taylor, this is going to start a rumor on Twitter. I know it.
Oh my
Briscoe to the 54,
God.
Gibbs to the 19th. Oh my God.
Every time I do a graphic, one thing goes wrong. This was fine when it was in freaking whatever.
It's okay.
Oh,
This caused more
Huge
controversy than the
feelings,
actual
Skywalker.
champion.
life lesson. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And
Yeah,
we
sorry,
learn.
Rob. We kind of blew it off.
Yeah, Rob. But here we go, Rob. So Rob said, and I quote, "This is what they want," meaning chaos. So here's how it looks. First eliminations he has is Truex. Then he has Burton as an elimination, Bowman and Suarez. So I guess the shocks, quote unquote, that move on would be Cindric and Briscoe, and I guess Bowman maybe considered.
Yeah.
I think, how do we like his championship 4? I feel like there's going to be some consistency with a lot of us for the championship 4 that Rob has, minus maybe 1 driver or 2. But like, how we feeling, fam?
It's what I expect up until the very end.
Yeah.
In an M. Night Shyamalan plot twist, Adam is gone. He's back there. He's like, I'm not showing my bracket. It all tracks up until, I mean, Rob is chaos, so this doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, Rob is like, the script is laid out perfectly. I mean, if you look at the tracks in each round, I mean, you kind of think of this, I don't want to compare it to like a Ryan Blaney type of championship run, but like, because the equipment and just it's different, right? But when you look at how the tracks are laid out, it shockingly works out in Chase Briscoe's favor if they're able to do everything right.
It's
with Phoenix as well, being the last race there. Dangerous.
Yeah. It's one of those that I feel like if you can't, like, it really is just now to the point where it is survival the first 2 rounds, and then you get hot quick in the third round. It feels like. Yeah. And then it's all nose game. It's all nose game at Phoenix, and go hard to the paint, and all the other sports metaphors that I'm trying to come up with.
So while he's got Logano out in the first round, which makes perfect sense to me, but I am taking it personally still.
That's fair. That's okay.
I think the first round does make a lot of sense. I just think, like, honestly, you could just do a random generator of who's going to make it out of the first round because of Atlanta alone.
Atlanta's going to throw a wrench in it.
And then you've got a road course that's high-speed chaos.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Bristol.
But no, other than that, it's a solid first round. Second round, I'm just looking at who he's got eliminated here. The second round looks pretty standard too. It's just, again, just the one. The outlier would be Briscoe, but everyone else seems to make perfect sense. And then the championship 4, it's just.
I see somebody.
4 men enter, 1 man leaves.
I mean, somebody on Twitter had the same type of bracket with Briscoe paving the way to a championship, and I was like, you know what? I can see this.
Yeah,
I see it.
Also, Taylor, I'm so sorry. It got so dark here really fast. I'm trying to compensate with lighting on my computer, but
you know what? You're good. It's a little ominous.
Dom has entered the abyss.
I am in the abyss. I can't say the first part of that, but I'm in the abyss. You know what I'm talking about, Adam.
Are the Hawks circling you?
The Hawks are circling.
Wow.
They're going to take me back to the nest.
Oh, gosh.
If you watch Trailer Park Boys, you should be able to catch on to these catchphrases. But no, Rob's is all about chaos. I'm here for it because it is exactly what the system wants.
Honestly, his final 4, there is a pathway for that to actually happen.
Yeah. Again, survival for the first 2 rounds, and then you kind of get to Las Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville.
And survive.
Pace yourself.
Yeah.
So, crew, I'm not going to lie to you right now. I have a technical error on my screen and I cannot get to clicking the next slide, and I'm gonna have to refresh my page. So, so if I refresh this page, talk about whatever your heart's desire that is motorsports related. I know where this is going. But I will be back very shortly if this does boot me out. So you've been warned. Everybody, please enjoy the Busch Series podcast for like a solid maybe 2 minutes, and then we'll get back on track. All right, here we go.
Now, gentlemen,
Cue it.
this is exactly what we've been waiting for.
Oh,
No, she's
It didn't last that long.
Wow. That
We didn't even get to start. I just did my monologue.
Oh, okay.
God has forsaken this wasteland.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Hold on, we'll figure it out. Hold on a second. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, while you're doing that, Adam, tell us your
go
top
for it.
25 favorite paint schemes in the Busch Series.
Oh wow, 25?
Here we go, boys.
Well, I tell you what, that Timberwolf car is pretty hot back in the day.
Back in yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Timberwolf.
Oh,
The old Granger. Oh. We're
processing.
Keep going. You guys got it. You're good.
Oh, the grain. Oh.
Granger's good.
This is offensive now, and I apologize, but the Redman car.
Hell yeah, brother. That car was hot.
I would kill for that car.
All right, so side story. I made an illegal version of that car. I have it in a 164.
Oh?
Thank you, Google.
I gotta do it. See, when I was little, I wanted the Budweiser car. They didn't sell it in my hometown, so I put a piece of paper over my Dale Jr. car and drew the Budweiser car over it. So that's
you got to do what you got to do.
There was
Eric Brennan's on the show tonight.
There was some dude who would post like YouTube videos. This was like probably like 13, 14 years ago.
Yep.
And
What
I would
happened?
screenshot them, cut them, paste them, size them to the correct measurements of what a 164 was. Print them out.
This is Dom's bracket. This is Adam's bracket.
This is just not working. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You're doing great.
Well, hey,
Thanks.
Fine
Hey,
dining
Dad.
and breathing. You're
It's
doing
okay.
great.
The person I picked for the championship, I gave him the curse because every person I picked for the championship in like the last 3 or 4 years hasn't gone on to win it. So,
Well, Adam, here's what I do respect though: is you haven't cursed some drivers that I think would be really cool to see as champions. So,
that philosophy
worked to a T last season, and hoping to keep that at 100.
Yeah.
Hats back. So
shoot.
yeah, there's mine. I didn't have much of a thought process with it besides getting rid of people who just haven't done great this season. Yeah, I don't have much to say about it, guys. Here's my bracket. If you like it, learn to love it. If you don't, oh well.
Do you have Truex winning a race in the first round then, or do you just have him sneaking in by the skin of his teeth?
I have him sneaking in because he's going to be better than the 4 people who don't make it.
That's fair.
yeah. All right. I mean, it's a logical bracket.
Mhm.
I like it. I'm
Very
curious
demure.
though. Byron in the round of 4, based off of how his season's gone recently, like how you're confident in that?
Like I made a prediction, I believe, at the beginning of the season. This is Hendrick's go time. The summer months are over. It's time for the bell to ring at the old campus. So I think Hendrick will be hitting it hot and heavy, especially with all 4 cars firing on all cylinders through the round of 12.
That's fair. Cool.
So that was my thinking. Honestly, I wanted to put Logano in my Final 4 just knowing that it was an even year.
That's fair.
But,
I'm the same way.
but seeing the tracks and just the trends of our Lord and Savior YRB, I had to go with him for my Ford pick.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
I get you. All right. Not bad. Ben?
That's my assessment. That's all I got. I don't have much
Yes,
for it.
ma'am.
I hope I'm wrong.
It could be his year.
Hello.
Same championship 4.
Yes, same championship 4 as Adam. I just pick a different guy. I think this mostly ties back to I really need Tyler Reddick to go on a heater to make sure I get my prediction of 23XI winning 6 races this year correct.
Oh,
and
I
I
think
can
I was
see it.
right.
I think Reddick could totally go on a heater right now and do this. I mean, he's pooped since Sunday night, I assume, and he feels a lot better.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. That's gonna come back and haunt me in years' time, I guarantee it. Yeah, we'll go backwards. So the Final Four, I felt like was very logical. I don't think Blaney has a championship hangover. I really think he'll also go on a little bit of a tear here.
Can we knock on wood after you said that? Everyone?
There's some vinyl wood on behind my computer. Let me tap.
Thank you.
Byron, I could totally see, sneaking his way in there. Reddick, I think, is on a heater. Larson's Larson, obviously. Probably the more controversial thing that I have is I have Truex making it all the way to the round of 8. So
I'm assuming.
Is he going to win a race though?
Here's the thing. So I broke my bracket down on my iPad and I colored in a couple different things. So in the first round, I had Cindric, Bowman, Chase Briscoe, and Harrison Burton falling out. To win, I had Larson, Bell, and Reddick win in the first round. I said for the first round, Truex skates out just by the skin of his teeth and makes it into the second round. I'm going to give a shout out to my good friend, Preston, who's a TobyChristie.com supporter, who has told me for weeks on end that Truex is going to win Talladega. Just you watch it. So in the round of 12, I have Truex winning at Dega. I also have Logano winning I also have Reddick and Byron winning in the round of 12. I have Logano falling out in the round of 8 as well. Yep. So that's kind of my logic behind that is Preston. So Preston, if you ever see this and this doesn't come true, I won't like you for a while.
Oh man,
he's a Kyle Busch fan, so we're both going through it right now. It's really tough.
That's a tough situation.
So yeah, I feel like this is kind of like you said, this is kind of a logical bracket still with a little bit of chaos enticed in there. I think Logano makes it through. I think Suarez makes it through after the first round. I really do.
Yeah.
He's consistent at Bristol. He won in Atlanta. He's a good road course. He's a solid enough road course racer. He's not good enough. He's not great. Yeah, I think it's a good first round for him. I think Cindric struggles really hard in the first round. I think Bowman is just going to fall off a cliff. Harrison Burton is literally last place in drivers' points, and I don't expect him to do anything at all. No offense, Harrison. I'm sure you're a good kid, but
I mean, for Harrison Burton, after talking to him last week, he feels good about Atlanta. They feel confident that Bristol's their best shot because it was their best qualifying effort earlier in the year, which for Bristol, typically track position is king. So hopefully they qualify well. They're able to, at least finish well. But at the same time, I will agree. I think Harrison Burton, of all these drivers, is the longest shot in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I'm going to explain Brandon's bracket. I think his is okay. Cool. No issues here. It's accurate. All right. So again,
Truex moving to the round of 8 too. Let's go.
He has
almost identical again for Final Four.
Yeah. His Final Four is a little different than the rest of ours. I don't know if I guess we'll see. I don't know if any of us have Elliott in the Final Four, but Brandon at this point. But his Elliott, Byron, Blaney, Larson, and Larson winning the championship. So we have another Larson championship prediction. Truex going far. That's the only thing.
Keselowski goes far too.
Keselowski has going far as well. Which, I mean, if you look at it, it's possible.
Anything's possible, though.
Anything's possible. I mean, for Keselowski, Atlanta and Bristol should be decent tracks for him. Watkins Glen, he's not great at road courses, so we're just going to toss that out the window. Round of 12, I mean, Talladega and Kansas.
I'm interested that he has the 23 XI car out at the round of 12 when they've been so good at Kansas.
That's where I'm confused, too.
I'm interested by that.
It's also a hell of a road course guy, too.
Yeah.
That I think that's just a player hating on the regular season champs.
Yeah. I feel that.
Back-to-back defending winners of the Kansas Fall race.
Yeah.
22 and 23.
So
I feel as if it is a personal opinion, which is fine. Which is
Toyota.
Okay. But
them cheating Toyotas.
So we got that.
Yeah, this is a solid. This is what I would expect for a bracket.
100%.
Little
Dom. Your time to
So my computer has since gone to dark mode, so now I look like I'm reporting from base camp for Sasquatch spotting. So
Did you find any Sam Squanches here, damn?
The trumpet player? No, the monster.
Sam Squanch. Sam Squanch.
God.
so yeah, let me go round by round here and see. I gotta remember who I knocked out in the first
Dom
round.
has bigger font than the rest of us on his. I'd like to file a complaint, Taylor.
No,
What do you mean?
it's all the same font.
They look bigger on my end. Wow.
They're all the same fonts.
Maybe I'm blonde. Oh, yeah,
Wait,
I'm blonde. Wow.
Confirmed.
I haven't had dinner
It's
yet.
been a long day, guys.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. How them Sam Squanches again?
Yeah, so in the first round, the usual suspects are out. Harrison Burton, Alex Bowman is out in the first round. Let me see who else I got out in round one. Chase Briscoe. I put him out in the first round, but I can absolutely see him going further. But and then Ty Gibbs were my first 4 out.
Wow, you have
That's a shock
Cindric
to me.
over those guys.
I do have Cindric over those guys.
Wow,
Because all it takes is a good run in Atlanta.
that's fair.
And he's not bad on road courses.
That's fair.
I went towards more so who do I have faith in for each round, and I just went through and listed everybody and was like, who do I have faith in to advance? And I went by round from there. Oh, cool. Yeah, you've got a nice exhaust on your truck. Anyways, on to the round of 8. I think that's as far as Cindric and Keselowski go. I do think Keselowski can go farther, but I think it's a victory for them if they get through the round of 16. And same goes for Cindric, if we're being honest here. I think that's as far as they go. I do think the end arrives in that round for Ryan Blaney. I don't see him getting out of the round of 12. I just haven't seen it out of the defending champ to keep going further. Same for Martin Truex Jr. I think he's got enough of a veteran mentality to get out at the first round, but I think from there it just catches up to him. Then from there, I've got out. Let me see, who else do I have out in that next round?
I'm interested that you have Suarez making it as far as you do.
I was gonna say he's gone far.
And again, it's just like going through and like when I was eliminating people, I just ended up saying, "Wow, I guess I have more faith in Suarez than these guys," and that's
fair.
how it worked out. I do think he's gotten better. I think his run at Richmond really sold me on
honestly
that. And now that Trackhouse only has him,
That's
they're
fair.
going to throw everything at that 99 car.
I don't mean to get off topic again. I apologize.
No,
Have they confirmed the soft tire compounds coming to Bristol yet, or is it still up in the air?
That I don't know.
I haven't heard anything for a while. I know there were rumors.
I do know
of it,
it's the same compound as the spring.
Yay! I love it.
But
that was a fun race.
I guarantee you they're going to over adjust on those cars. That doesn't happen again. But let's just go right to the championship 4. I've got Larson because he is the man this year. Denny because he always finds a way. Joey because it's an even number year. And Tyler Reddick because he is red hot right now. And I think he does carry that. And at the very end, at the end of it all, Joey plays the system just like he did in 2018. He doesn't deserve it, but he wins it anyway.
Wow. All right.
Even numbered year streak continues.
Absolutely. I'm going to go turn the light on.
Okay. Go for it.
Tell those crickets to be quiet too.
Oh, he's background noise. All right.
You know what I just noticed real quick, Taylor?
What?
I don't have Keselowski making it out of the first round.
You don't.
That's kind of a surprise and a shocker because Atlanta is a really strong track for him, and Bristol too. Pretty consistent. But okay, wow. All right, so that would be my big shocker then.
Yeah. I mean, like, I thought about that too with my first round because I had thought, like, maybe Keselowski's one shocker that doesn't make it. But then I was like, well, we have Atlanta and Bristol. I'd be too nervous. Either he does really well at Atlanta or he gets wrecked out. And, like, that'll dig his grave for him. I will say, Yes. None of you picking Denny gives me vibes. This could be the year he finally breaks through and wins the championship. That's kind of my thought process here. I've been all in since I think 2021 of Denny winning the champion, whether he was my favorite driver at the time or not. I just wanted to see him do it because he had seasons where he could. Same with 2020. And then there's always a lack of like 3 points or something like that takes him out of the championship 4 and he just can't do it. Or he's in the championship 4 and just can't seal the deal. So I just chose to not have him in my championship 4 for that reason of maybe I jinx him in a positive way. Ben.
I owe an apology. Preston, it's his birthday today, and I told him I wouldn't like him on his birthday if Truex didn't win. So,
Way
Preston,
to go, Ben.
you're not watching this, but I'm sorry, and happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. Well, happy birthday, by the way. Shout outs. Birthday shout out from the crew. Pretty exciting. But yeah, here's how I see the script working out this year. So I don't think Harrison Burton makes it past the first round. I think Briscoe, for the reason I mentioned earlier in the show, where there's an entire organization that's able to rally around him, which is dangerous. No other team has that, where you have like with Reddick, there's an entire organization that can rally around him, but it's just like an extra team essentially that can maybe aid a little bit. Mm-hmm. You have 3 extra teams with Briscoe because they have nothing to lose, right? So I think that's dangerous, and it will at least pay off for at least one round. He could make it past to the round of 8. I don't know. Again, could be a shocker. Could be Rob's script that I see happening. You never know. I will say, like, I don't know if I have any other really big shocks at that point. And then I think the championship pick, I'm basing this off of the past 2 playoff runs that Bell has had. I honestly do believe he would have had it last year if it wasn't for the brake rotor issue. I think he was a little stronger than Blaney was in the long run. They had the same type of car, long run cars. They were both handled well, but the brake rotor and his race was done last year. Year before, he was decent. I think with how these rounds play out, it could be touch and go for Christopher Bell. So I think this is a risk for me, having him in the championship 4 and winning the race, especially if you put Larson in there with him too. But I don't know. Why not? Mm-hmm. A little bit of chaos and predictability, but even too, maybe predictability. He's been in the championship 4. This could be 3 years in a row. Maybe third time's a charm. So that's my thought. I don't know if they're bad thoughts, but I don't know.
I feel like all of our brackets, minus Rob's, is somewhat not predictable, but kind of like just kind of way the stats are showing. So
yeah.
I will say I had him going all the way to the round of 8, but I can absolutely see Byron getting knocked out in the first round. 100%.
My thought process. Byron was the one for me that I'm like, he either goes really far or he basically junks his chances at advancing after the round of 16. They have him in the same, but they also turn it on.
Genuinely irrelevant since his Martinsville win.
Yeah.
It's all part of the plan.
That is true.
All part of the Hendrick process.
Like,
take this win up early, take the summer to fine tune everything for the fall, and then come back with a vengeance with the final 10 races.
We'll see.
Yeah.
They're going to get 2 cars in the championship 4.
I think that's a possibility. Again, it's last 10 races of the season. That's all you got to be good for once you make it. That's it. So, and the fact that he made it so early with the Daytona 500 win, they've had all of this time to rack up points and just try to learn from everyone around them. Mm-hmm. So even then, Byron, I think last year was like the first year where he didn't have a true slump, which is why I was expecting the same type of consistency this year, but obviously that wasn't there. That's why I'm a little thrown off by Byron, but I think, Adam, you're absolutely right. Like, he could pick it up. So
I usually am.
Yeah. Adam goes, I'm always right.
What is crazy about this system, though, is we are a crash at Atlanta and a pass for the lead gone wrong at Watkins Glen from seeing Kyle Larson being on the verge of elimination.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Like, good grief.
Yeah, this year has had a lot of close calls, and even too, I think the RFK account posted like we were 0.001 seconds away from being in the playoffs, and like that sucks. So
we were Tyler Reddick's fender away from being in the playoffs.
Ripperoonie.
Yeah, man.
Well, those are our predictions. we'll see how those go. I'm sure the ATYL crew, I sent all of you your brackets that you can post on the Webernet if you want. Now,
excuse me.
It's such an iCarly phrase. It's an iCarly phrase.
Oh, God, I feel old now, and I watched that show.
They used to be my favorite show. Not favorite show, but like top 10. I give it top 10. I'm showing my age. So, yes.
Question for the group.
Ooh, yes.
Who is the most deserving champion? Taking the system away and based on points and just genuine performance for this year. Who's the most deserving champion?
I'm between two drivers.
Yeah.
Who you got?
You want to say one of them and I'll say the other one?
Is it Reddick and Larson?
Reddick and Larson.
Yeah.
I lean more towards Reddick just because I feel like he's been a little bit more relevant this year at times as to Larson. But I think Reddick is probably, like, if this was obvious, I mean, he won the regular season championship. Like, if we're going to base this off of that, then I think it's Reddick.
Well, and the one thing I'm mindful of, if it wasn't for Larson missing that Charlotte race, he would be the regular season champion.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
sorry, kid.
But there's a thing too. He's been more relevant. I would agree. So it would be, if one of those two won the championship, I'd say the chaos that ensued to get into the playoffs is all worth it, and it shook out the way it should have for the deserving. But again,
so I absolutely agree with you guys. It should come down to one of those two guys. I want to consider Denny, but I also agree that he's risked it for the win, for the extra points a little too much, and that's cost him. But I lean to the other way and say that if it was up to me right now, I'd give Larson the trophy. I just think he has just been. I mean, the last several years he's transitioned to the next gen car well. It took him a year. 2022 was a little iffy. But last year was really good, and this year, good grief, man, he's got over 1,000 laps led. He has just been a dog this year, and I mean, he is carrying this sport right now.
Yeah, I think.
But I can also fully respect the Reddick argument, because he did win the regular season title, and it came down to him running one more race than Larson, and that'll bite you in a point system. So,
and my whole thing too is like,
when the points matter, you want to make that show so you can run those laps.
Yep.
And he won it by 1 point, and he did it while he was feeling really sick too. It's like, if he was on like 100% mode, like how could he have been? We don't know. Yeah. But I think those two solid choices. But then again, we talk about who's deserving of a championship with the playoff system. How do you really calculate that? Deserving within the confines of the system that we have. I don't know. Anywho, we have a race this weekend. That's pretty cool.
Cool.
And NFL football.
And football.
Heck, football kicking off right meow.
The Chiefs delayed their kickoff just for us.
Wow.
I'm honored. Thank you, Kansas City.
You're welcome. I put a word in.
Let's get to our preview then, so y'all can catch some football. Top 10. Dom.
Hello. Okay, yeah. How about this for chaos? Look at this top 10.
I love this.
This is only based on the new layout Atlanta second race. So summer 22, summer 23 are the only two races that we pulled from here. And yeah, I mean, honestly, there's really not a lot of stats to pull from because of that. So just looking at our top 10 right now, Chase Elliott, who won in 2022, is up there. William Byron won this race last year, but he's not in the top 10 because his 2022 race did not go well at all. So that hurt him a lot. When you've only got two races to pull from, that hurts you. But this is our top 10. Got Blaney up there in second. He has been really, really good in this race. He's been good at this new Atlanta. So has Austin Cindric. You could argue all three Penske cars, but Joey's not in there. He has crashed out in, I believe, both summer races. He won the spring in 23, so just keep him considered. Chase Briscoe, he's in the playoffs, and he's in our top 10, and he's healthily in the top 10, and fifth on the board. So keep an eye on him, because now this team knows, oh my gosh, we can actually do this. We're in it. We're in the playoffs. So they're going to put everything in that 14 car. It's going to get all the extra love and care in the shop. Just picture the Days of Thunder, them talking to the car. That's going to be them with this 14 car. So I accept riding the 14 train into the playoffs. Daniel Suarez is also very good here. Won this race in the spring by the margin between the cars that are in this graphic. But yeah, Daniel Suarez is very good at the New Atlanta. Kyle Busch, Michael McDowell, Brad Keselowski, Justin Haley, Martin Truex Jr., the rest of our top 10 here. Again, just only 2 races to pull from, so take these stats with a grain of salt. But I know the fans will be super pumped to see the most popular driver up there, P1, but rightfully so. It's his home race, won this race in 2022, also has a pole position from 2022, so that alone helped him out a lot, has a lot of laps led. And then Justin Haley, I wanted to mention him because he does have really good numbers. This new layout has been very good to him. I want to pull up my stats here real quick just so I can say what his average finish is. His average finish is 7.5. So in his 2 races, yeah, that's very respectable.
Very respectable.
Our top 2 guys are both with an average finish of 7th. Austin Cindric with a 7.5 average start and finish. So that's really good for him.
Dang.
Impressed by that. But again, Suarez, 4, average finish of 4th. His finish is our 6th and 2nd. Blaney's our 5th and 9th. So yeah, pretty good numbers here for these guys. But we'll just have to wait and see because it's a speedway race.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
This could be really nice to Brad Keselowski. He's come very close at this track a couple times.
God, I hope it is.
That would be awesome for him. Michael McDowell, I would honestly, I kind of wanted to put Todd Gilliland in this list just to ignore the stats here because of how good his spring run was, but the fall has not been kind to him. But Front Row Motorsports, honestly, Ford Performance, Roush Yates puts a lot into the plate races, and they're just very competitive on them. So keep an eye on them. But I would say if you need to bet on somebody, bet on Chase Elliott.
What is Daniel Suarez's scheme this week?
It's just Quaker State.
Oh, it's just
it's a special.
Okay, it looks nice.
Amigos.
Yeah, that's nice. Cool. Also, dear Martin Truex Jr., winning this car, so Lionel will make it, and I love the scheme, and I love you. Goodbye.
For guys outside the top 10, our first guy out is William Byron in 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
So yeah, he did win this race. Rain shortened in the sprint in 2023, but his 2022 finish was 30th, and he has an average start of 15.5. Want to see who's led the most laps. Chase Elliott has 96 laps led amongst the 2 races. Our next closest guy is William Byron with 60. I believe most of that came in 2023. Looking at who else, Eric Jones 12th. Next guy out, kind of interesting. Harrison Burton 13th. I know, playoff guy. They said they're really looking forward to Atlanta. He's 13th. Other playoff guys: Denny Hamlin 16th, Kyle Larson 17th, Joey Logano 18th, Christopher Bell 19th, Tyler Reddick 22nd. Reddick is a great qualifier, but can't finish the race.
Yeah.
Average start of 8th, average finish of 28th. So he's really hoping for a turnaround. Ty Gibbs 25th, but he's only got 1 start, and that was last year. Started 7th, crashed out in 34th. Or actually, no, I think he just finished 34th. He does not have a DNF on his board. And Alex Bowman 29th, starts of 8th and 36th, and then finishes of 32nd and 26th. So those are your playoff guys.
Yeah, what I think is interesting with Atlanta, and I mean, not interesting, we all know this, is it's kind of a crapshoot in the sense of like, that sets the tone for your first round. You do awful at Atlanta, you're most likely out, regardless, because the points around that cutoff line are scary close together. I want to pull those up one more time, just so you know what we're dealing with as we go into that race. I believe that's slide 3. Yeah, like from like Brad Keselowski to like Martin Truex Jr., that's pretty close together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything can happen there. I mean, you're really not safe if you're Ryan Blaney to Martin Truex Jr. I think William Byron has a good of enough buffer. Even though it's still not really far off from Blaney, but it's going to be fun to see how these drivers do at Atlanta, and hopefully they are all able to not DNF, because that would be bad for them. So yeah, this will be, it's always a fun way to start the playoffs, but I'm also like, ooh, like I'm a little nervous. So
in all honesty, I think this year's schedule for these first 2 rounds of the playoffs could not have been more perfect.
Really?
I honestly, because you have, in the first 2 rounds, you have 2 road courses, you have 2 super speedways, and then you have a mile and a half and a short track, with your short track being in the first round, which if it was in the second round, I think that would have been even crazier. So yeah, I think if you have a bad weekend at Atlanta, which could happen really quick and really fast and knock out a lot of guys, you're going to be scrambling for that last spot to advance.
And in a way, like, I kind of made this argument for Darlington being the first race in the playoffs and why I liked it. It was, okay, congrats, you're in your spot. Like, now show me you're the best driver that there is, because Darlington's one of the toughest tracks on the schedule. With Atlanta, it's, okay, we're going to throw you into some chaos, and if you're one of the best drivers, claw your way out. So there's pros and cons to it, but Atlanta's going to be fun. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning into the live stream.
Hold on, John's going to his first Cup race.
Well, 10 Atlanta Cup race. Very excited to attend.
No, it's at
his first Atlanta race.
John's going to his first Atlanta race.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry, John.
I
wish I was going.
I can't read.
That'll be a good one. So if you're traveling there, have so much fun. Of course, keep up with us on all of our social media platforms. Of course, for all your NASCAR stories, breaking news, go to tobychristie.com. He still has it. He has the sign, folks. But tobychristie.com, of course, more about us, what we're doing, announcements, merchandise, all of that stuff, where you can find our social media platforms. Go to abovetheline.com. And of course, all of our social media handles are on the screen for you here in that graphic and under our names. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Hopefully, if you're traveling to Atlanta, have a safe trip. Everyone have a great race weekend. Enjoy it all. And we are excited to kick off the round of 16 for the playoffs to fight for the championship and see who's going to take it all. It starts this weekend at Atlanta